Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we are going to do a character guide and showcase on Lulu. So, Lulu's big thing is she's always been pretty underwhelming in the game. I honestly don't think she's very great now, but she does have one very useful aspect, which is Fire Enchant and Imperil, and she has something called True Fire Enchant, which basically means she can enchant over other elements. So normally if a character has an element, they can't be enchanted, but with Lulu you can. So the main use for Lulu is really getting through fire requirement orbs, or for any fight you want fire damage. The thing is her LD can get that done for you. So a lot of people, I think if you're pulling for Lulu, it's for the LD. Ignis LD also does a similar thing, which can be good. But we're going to look at Lulu as like an in-party character, and you can kind of judge for yourself based on her damage and what she's doing, if you feel like she's a character you want for in the party, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to start by looking at artifacts and spheres, and then we will hop into a showcase at that point. So let's go ahead and look at the artifacts first. So for her, you want, I don't have any of her perfect arts. Attack 108, Max Brave 330 is fine. If you can though, you want Attack 108 paired with the doll carrying Black Mage boost, which increases her Max Brave and Attack together. So you want her C15 Attack 108, but Max Brave 330 isn't bad either. And then we are going to go ahead and we are going to hop into the spheres. So Lulu being a weakness damage character, I really like Rydia in 7 for those types of characters especially. So Rydia is going to give brave damage and attack, because once again, as a damage dealer, you want to focus on attack, brave damage, or magic attack with Lulu. So any of those are fine. And then 7 is a really good brave damage up sphere that you could do. So 7 and Rydia, I think, are the two there. And then on the D slot, just anything that can boost party attack would be preferable. Hope has a very good D sphere, so if you wanted to throw Hopes on this, a Max Brave and attack for the party, which is good. You could also do Waka, but she's going to be one buff short, so you have to make sure she's carrying a teammate that can add another buff to her to get the Waka sphere to activate, so that could be an option as well, right? So that is spheres and artifacts. Let's go into the showcase. We'll talk about how she works here really quick. So we are hopping into Irvine's once again. And I'm just hopping into this one because I know it's a little bit of an easier one. And I'm going to have Cissnei bringing the ranged damage instead of Freya. I know I've been bringing Freya a lot. We'll bring Cissnei this time. Alright, so Lulu's pretty simple. Basically, you just want to open with the LD, and then you kind of just balance your attacks for buffs and all that from there. So what we'll do is we'll talk about everything. The problem is getting to a Cissnei turn. She's way back there. That could be trouble. We'll just go through and explain everything here. So basically her Stinger Mog and her Fire Moomba, they have plus versions. Essentially, you're going to get those plus versions when you use the LD. So the LD carries a buff that will put a bunch of stacks on it, which is the Dollmaster buff. That's the main buff that you want to keep up. That Dollmaster buff is what gives the True Fire Enchant, and that True Enchant means it's going to enchant over elements. And then she also has a Self Enchant, and then she also has an Imperil. So we'll just go through them really quick here. So the 15 is Stinger Mog. That does fire resist down. It does refresh her Dollmaster buff, which is good, right? And it also ignores defense, so that can't be understated as well. Defense ignore can be quite powerful, right? And then we've got Fire Moomba. Fire Moomba basically is also going to keep the Dollmaster up. It's going to refresh that. It is also going to party Fire Enchant. That is just the normal Fire Enchant, so that would not enchant over other elements. Okay, and then the EX, which we'll see in a little bit, that has a unique buff called Alluring Magic. So typically the EX, because it's powerful, you typically want to use that when it's up, and it also does Imperil on the enemy. So the Imperil is going to come from Stinger Mog or the EX. It also comes from the LD. So pretty much everything but Fire Moomba is going to put the Imperil down. So that's good, right? And then once again, you got the Party Enchant from Fire Moomba, and then you're also going to get it from the LD a little bit. Or it's going to come from, it's going to come from the Dollmaster. So anything that's doing Dollmaster, that is going to Party Enchant as well. And then once it's at max stacks, I believe, is when you get the full, like the true Party Enchant, right? So let's just lead in here with the LD. So this is the Double Flare Fury. We'll see what kind of damage we get out of it here. Now this is like turn 1, right? So that did pretty decent damage. Not too bad. And the nice thing with Cissnei, it doesn't matter that her turn's later. She's just going to counter right away. So this actually works out great. She's actually be a lot better than Freya for this, just because she's already going to be countering and ticking the orb for me. So I think Cissnei might be my new go-to in here, because now I can take my time and like do all my proper setup that I want to do. Oh man, these bosses, let's do this. Wipe their turns here. There we go. Now we got Lulu up in front. That's what we wanted. Want to get Lulu a turn here. Alright, and then let's go ahead and do the burst attack. So we're going to try to make Lulu look pretty good here. We'll see if it works or not. But yeah, it's been a while since I've used Garnet, so let's use Garnet in this showcase. Garnet's still quite good. I still consider Garnet probably the best character in the game right now, which is crazy. She's had some crazy longevity, but I guess that's how you do an anniversary character, right? You just make them really busted. Alright, now we got Cissnei coming up. Alright, so Cissnei, she's just going to pop her LD and have her stronger follow-ups here. The nice thing with Lulu then is like everything Cissnei's doing is going to be having fire on it, right? Which means it's going to be, if you're doing an orb that requires it, you're getting all that off-turn damage to tick the orb, which will help you tick the orb very quickly. So that's something else to keep in mind with Lulu and Fire Enchanters, right? So I think for the current Lufenia, like let's say you don't want to have Lulu all the way on built up, or you don't want to have her on your party, but you maybe have Ignis Call or Lulu Call that you can use, because you don't even need Lulu's LD. I think she enchants just on her normal call, so you probably just have a base Lulu and still do it. Let's go ahead and do this. But let's say you brought Cissnei into that fight. Now I haven't decided, I've already beaten the Lufenia Plus, but I'm trying to figure out for my video which team I want to run. I'm considering putting Cissnei in there to show you how you could abuse the call, because you could just do Cissnei with a self-enchant call, and then she's just going to be following up every turn, and then you just make it so she doesn't get turns, and then she's going to take the orb like crazy, right? So that might be the way to go. There's a lot of strategies you can use for it, but let's do this. All right, now we're going to get back to a Lulu turn, finally. All right, so Lulu, we've used the LD. So now what you're going to notice here is we do have a free skill use coming. So let's go ahead and do her weak damage up all. So we'll use the AA. I like using the AA with the free turns now with C90 because the AAs are so much better. They give a lot more than what they used to. So they're definitely worth using, right? So now we've got, now basically you're going to dance between the 15 and 35 until the EX is up, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at Stinger Mog first. And the one thing you're going to notice is the plus versions of these attacks are AoE, but if they're not plus versions, they're only single target. So you really want those plus versions up as best as you can, right? I'm sure we'll just use the LD again with Cissnei, let them have some turns, that's fine. And then basically we'll just play until we can get maybe an EX attack with Lulu, but she honestly is really basic. It's really, you use the LD to open, and then you're just upkeeping the Dollmaster, you're upkeeping the Imperil, you're upkeeping the Enchant, and honestly, if you're just balancing between the 15 and 35, using the EX, refreshing the LD when you want that big hit, like, you're going to be fine. You just have to balance out the attacks that you're using, and you're going to just be refreshing everything, right? Let's check out the 35. This is Fire Moomba. So you can see the damage isn't crazy, right? Like 400k AoE isn't like groundbreaking. That's why like Lulu's a little underwhelming. We will get her, I'm actually not going to use the LD with Cissnei here because like we're actually kind of killing these bosses pretty quick. Not going to lie, yeah, we're killing these bosses pretty darn quick. Between that and then Garnet going off too, right? Yeah, Garnet is still so crazy. But we do want to get Lulu into an EX, which I think she is going to have on the next turn here. I think it's going to pop right here. Pretty close to it. Yep, there it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and pop the EX. So this is Fire Augur Fury. So she does get a unique buff from this called Alluring Mage. And basically it does... It gives Brave HP damage up 30%, Max Brave 30%, and then the party Fire Enchant, it just kind of keeps that going, and increases Brave Stolen. So just some really good things, but I think the damage here is going to be pretty good. This is probably, between this and the LD, are her two damaging attacks. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, just a ton of dumps, right? Like, you know, 600k AoE, that's a little bit better. I think in a 3-target fight, Lulu could actually be pretty decent. Oh, we actually took some damage there. Yikes. That's fine. You know, it wouldn't be a showcase if I died once in a while, right? But that's basically Lulu. That's pretty much all I needed to show there. I could have used the summon, I suppose, and avoided that. But Lulu is pretty basic. Just lead with the LD. Like I said, her big gimmick is the fire enchant. It's a very niche thing. It's a very niche thing because you're only going to be using that in certain fights where like you really have to have fire specifically. And that's why where they try to get people to pull for Lulu is when it's like, hey, I need this fire enchant, I don't have it. I would say if you could just use her base call or Ignis call to get around it, and Lulu really isn't a character you need to pull for unless she's a favorite, but like her damage is honestly pretty darn underwhelming. There are a lot better characters you can use your resources on, but it's totally up to you. So anyways, hope this guide helps. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys all on the next one.